Hey everyone, this is Tyler with Easy Agent Pro. I'm here with Brett Kepler from Next. You can go check out Next. They have this cool transaction management system going on over there. It's rather new. Stumbled upon it when we were compiling a list of the best real estate tools a couple months ago now. But anyway, he and I are going to sit down. He's an ex-realtor now doing more of the tech side of things. We're just going to talk about how organization is in real estate companies today, and sometimes why it can be difficult to get organized, and just sort of outline all the things you have to do in real estate to maintain a family life, to maintain a nice organizational structure, and start using things like real estate assistance. So welcome to the show, Brett.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so why don't you explain to people what Next is, and then your perspective on like the unique challenges that face real estate agents in 2015 and the things that are expected of them.
Sure. So my background is, in real estate sales. I started up a company and I have a team and did the whole, let's become a mega agent process and went through a ton of different tools that did everything from CRM to, lead generation to document storage and signing. And, as I continued to grow, I realized that really what was at the heart of my business was great systems, which these were
Hmm.
systems that supported the marketing and systems that supported the lead generation and the client service and all that. And I really didn't have a great tool that was out there that was allowing me to execute well on those systems and manage those systems. It was still that was the one part of our business that was very archaic, that we were using paper checklists and just hoping that we had really great people sitting in the
Yeah.
seats making those sorts of calls, if you know what I mean. But as the one problem that I think most agents find is that as you make it look really easy, the others with you think it's easy too. And I
Hmm.
kept losing my assistants to becoming agents, and I realized that as soon as they get up to speed and I don't have to worry about the business or babysit the business, they would think, hey, I can make a lot more money doing exactly what he
Right.
does. And they would leave and they get in the business, and so far they haven't done all that well. So I feel good and bad about that. But
No.
so that kind of brought me to the point where, after trying system after system after system, I said, you know what? All I wanted to do is this, and I thought I'm going to build it just for my team, and it's going to be simple and easy. And then it turned into, well, let's add to this and that and all these different bells and whistles. And then other people wanted to try it. So it became something that was a very simplified task management tool that allowed for easy, repetitive processes, to work and to automate a lot of, kind of just the little tasks that get in the way of really what the focus should be for an agent, which is, going out and meeting new people, expanding your sphere, and trying to get those people to buy and sell homes with you. So
Right.
that's where Next came from.
So if the point is to get out there, every agent knows, they have to grow their sphere, they have to do marketing, they have to do lead generation. Like what are the things that get in the way of building those great systems? Because I mean, personally, I know it's probably the hardest thing you can do in any business, but it's also the most important. Like what are those things that you see as the primary
Sure. Well, I can tell you, I mean, the biggest, what every agent wants, I guess, is a business built on referrals because, outside of maybe the top 1% of agents out there, most are extremely, I guess, lazy may not be the right word, but not nearly as salesperson-y or as aggressive as they
Hmm.
should be. So getting them to consistently lead generate is just, it doesn't happen unless there's a really strong culture up top. And there's a lot of introverts leading teams. There's a lot of people that have forgotten how to cold call. And we're in a new generation where, I hate being cold called. So
Right.
it's really hard for me to think, "Oh, I need to pick up the phone and take, follow all these courses that all these gurus put out." So just, as agents get into the business, the last thing they want to do is prospect because it's uncomfortable and it's rejection after rejection after rejection. As a new agent, you're already, you have a 90% chance of failing out after the
Right.
first 2 years. So, I think for an agent really to be successful, they need to do a lot of those basics, but they just don't do it. So, uh, I think it's personal fear that probably really affects, people from growing. And that's why I see a lot of agents when they first get in the business, not so much doing door knocking, not so much, making the calls or going after expireds. but really aligning themselves with people who will just give them leads.
Right.
Those are the people that are successful enough that, they have a strong referral business. They don't have to do a lot of prospecting, or it's really easy for them to prospect because they can call and say, "Oh, I was the top agent in my town last year. I sold like every home in your neighborhood twice." That's a really easy sales
It's an
pitch,
easy sale, yeah.
and it's really hard when you're brand new. So, I think that when it comes to creating systems, the first thing you have to do is have clients to build systems for,
Hmm.
and that's the hardest part. Is where do you get that book of clients? So most agents, when they're new, you don't need a system to remember how to close your one property when you have one property to worry about.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up thinking, "Oh my gosh, I hope this closes," and what do I have to do to make it close? Like,
Yep.
there's no one getting more attention than like that first buyer because you are freaking out because you don't know what you're doing. You're probably going to screw up. You probably have screwed up.
And you haven't had a paycheck until that.
Oh yeah, exactly. And you're counting your chickens, before they hatch, right there for sure. So, there's all sorts of reasons, I think why people struggle to generate leads. But the best way is to get in, personally, what I think, get in, work with a team, have someone that can provide that accountability that your broker isn't technically supposed to force upon you, like a team
Hmm.
leader can, just because of the whole independent contractor thing. There's some requirements about, meetings and trainings, and, I think you get sort of a mentor and a role model along with leads that's going to drastically improve your chances for success.
Right. Yeah, that's great advice. Joining team first and then sort of segueing into the other market after you have your own business built up. But let's say you do have your own business built
Yeah.
up. What's the first step you can take towards organizing that? It sounded like you had this goal of being a mega agent and you're probably making, non-mega agent money and you want it to be here. So like what's the
Yeah.
biggest first step you can take to bridging that gap
Sure.
between where you are and where you want to be?
Yeah, so the first thing you have to do is, you have to find, I think, someone who is sort of your opposite, because real estate's turning into a very well-rounded business where,
Mm.
you have to be a great salesperson, you have to be very good at details, you have to be a client person, you have to be able to push out great marketing, you have to have good communication skills. You literally have to wear like every hat and be within every scope of a personality profile chart.
Yeah.
Okay. And the problem is that if you're a really good salesperson, you're generally, if you know like a disc profile chart, you're in that dominant personality, or that very, influential personality. And totally opposite your personality traits are the people who like a very clean desk, who like checking lists off. But those are all extremely important elements to having a successful business. It's what you deliver from a customer service standpoint, from a consistency standpoint, making sure that just like at McDonald's, where every new franchise has an exact playbook they follow to
Hmm.
ensure that they're delivering on the successful principles that McDonald's stands for. The same thing and the same approach has to be taken into account when you have a real estate team, or you're just a sole real estate agent. You should be able to ensure that every person walks away knowing that you did an awesome job, because what comes with that experience is going to be the referrals that get you out of ever having to cold call again, or worry about Facebook ads, or worry about geo targeting towards
Right.
this or that, or predictive analytics. There's so many ways to generate leads right now that the easiest one that no one seems to really think about is just going after your sphere. That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
absolutely the best, and the best way to get there is to make sure that every person you come across is extremely happy and you don't screw anything up. So that's where systems will prevent fires from occurring, and also deliver on an experience that you have set there and designed to generate more leads your way.
Yeah, I mean that's great. Everyone, well, we help people generate leads, but like that's just the first part of the equation, and then it's giving that lead a great experience, always improving. It's building the machine that builds the machine is sort of the quote that's been in my head the last couple weeks. But
Yeah.
you have to make sure that you're not only building these systems that deliver that great experience, but you're also then building the system that improves the system over time, because like I don't know, 6 months ago we didn't have, oh, your marketing would have been different. Or
Right.
maybe over the last 6 months, people really just stopped replying to, I don't know, maybe email or texting, and now they're replying through Facebook Messenger because everyone has that app installed on their
Well, yeah, and
phone.
I'll tell you, well, Tyler, a good example is, we just went through this new TRID regulation where
Yep.
now there's these whole different processes and procedures for getting disclosures, received by the recipients, and we have to have extra forms signed. I mean, every time we screw up, and every agent's going to screw up in one way or another. And if they have
Hmm.
the right mentality and they think, what could I have done to have avoided this problem? All of a sudden, they go back to their process and their checklist or whatever, and they say, add in 2 weeks before this time, we need to verify that this will happen or this won't happen, so we don't get to the closing table and we say, oh, whoops, we screwed
Right.
up. So it's an ongoing process. The system that, say, my grandpa would have used, 60 years ago would not make sense today, obviously. So, just like my system's not going to be the same maybe tomorrow or 5 years from now, that exactly speaks to, having something that you can build on.
Right, exactly. And so speaking of 5 years, ago, where do you see real estate going in the next 5 years? Like, what are the biggest things you see changing regarding systems or marketing
Sure.
or?
Well, I think that, there's been I guess not as much accountability in real estate
Mhm.
as there's going to be in 5 years. And I say that because agents have, and really MLS associations, everyone's been very guarded about transaction data, personal reviews. With social media out there, if you've wronged someone in the real estate community, you can post on Facebook, boost your post, and you've hit 10,000 people all saying you suck as an agent.
Right.
So I think that for the first time, agents are being held a lot more accountable than they ever have in the past. So with that in mind, I think that it's going to be harder to just survive without putting yourself, in a place where you're delivering great service.
Right.
I think that the single agents who are just sort of, not cutting it so hot, they are going to end up either exiting the business or they're going to align with someone who can make up for their weaknesses. So I do see a huge rise in teams. I think that you're going to see new agents join teams, probably leave the business for a while and try to start their own team. But pretty much everyone's going to work in little groups, whether it's just one person and an assistant or one agent with five buyers agents, listing partners, the whole gamut of like a 12-person group.
Right.
But regardless, you're going to see, I think, the majority of properties that get sold, and I'd say 80% of sales are probably going to go to those people who are teams or at least have an assistant. So even if there are fewer agents, in the marketplace moving forward, it's those people that are very good. They're going to figure out how they can do a lot more simply by adding some support to their operations.
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm seeing in the last couple of years, it seems like the amount of things you have to do to get to that transaction being closed are just escalating rapidly. Like you used to be able to buy leads from Google ads, and like that's just getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
Buying Zillow, each package goes up and gets more expensive, and so it's
Yeah.
really you do have to be on a team or have at least an efficient system that doesn't waste those leads, or something that you've actually built that then gets you those leads and turns it into referrals that make it more profitable down the road. Makes it a
Yeah.
longer shot idea.
Oh, exactly. I think that's exactly right. At the same time, I think there's a larger demand from the general public on our time, or an agent's time
Right.
in general. And I think there's an expectation of, like Uber, I press a button and I want my person to show up and take care of me.
Sure.
And I want to be able to reach you at all hours, and I want to negotiate it at 2 a.m. And that's getting harder and harder as technology improves. I remember before I got, before I was married, this was in college, and I had a girlfriend that I didn't have a cell phone. So that was
Hmm.
great because I could go and do whatever I want. The moment I got a cell phone,
Yeah,
I knew where I was at all times.
every time. Yeah.
And there was none of this, oh, I didn't see you at the bar. I was looking for you. We must not have crossed paths. Like, that doesn't fly anymore.
Right. Right.
So, as that's progressed and we're in situations where, people know everywhere we're going and what we're doing, I think there's just an expectation on your time. And if you can't help cover for them, if they want to see a house and you're showing someone else, or if you have a closing and they want to see something that day, even if you're in a 2-hour meeting, sometimes you can't afford to not return that person's call or get them an answer within 2 hours. That the expectations that the consumer is setting is driving people towards that team, status, or that the teams to really have to exist in order to just service them the way they want to be serviced.
So you're arguing that people are expecting more timely responses, all these things that we'd probably agree with and have seen in the marketplace. But how can someone start like adapting their business to suit those customers? Is it simply by joining a team, or is it creating a team, or like even if you create a team, do you set hours and set the who answers the phone?
Yeah.
Like,
I think part of what's going to make you successful in this business is that you have to be, out there really working for your client. And, what I try to teach, some of the agents that are on my team is that, you have to equip yourself so that you can work anywhere. You have to be able to, unfortunately, if you're out with your family somewhere and you have 3 minutes to go to the bathroom, you've got to be able to turn around 3 emails and be able to send a document for signature within 8 minutes or so. So when you come back, it doesn't look like you're putting your business in front of your family.
Right.
It's like you got to sneak around and you're almost, having an affair with your job because you're trying to keep both happy at the same time, as weird as that might sound. And I'll make sure my wife doesn't hear this.
Hear this pot, yeah. Your bathroom breaks are ruined. Yeah, never again.
Never again. Or I'll have to leave my phone at the table is probably more appropriate. But teaching them to be equipped to be able to offer timely responses. And then the other big thing is just managing expectations. It's really hard for new agents to say no, and it's really hard for new agents to set themselves up, whether it's just with the initial consultation or knowing that if you start answering emails at 10 o'clock at night in the very beginning, they're going to think that that's an appropriate time to reach you.
Right.
After the third time that they don't get a response from you until the next morning, they're going to get that you do not return, texts at 10 o'clock at night. So it's also kind of knowing how to manage that relationship that comes through training. And this is definitely not something you're going to learn from your broker, because they're pretty much focused on how do I get more agents in, how do I increase my revenue, and how can I stop spending as much money on these people. That's where you have all these licensees under a person that really doesn't know the business. But when you can come in, work with someone who's leading a team, you're going to learn all these little pieces of craft and art that's going to actually help you have a life and help you manage your clients better, and you'll become a better agent by doing that.
Right. That's really interesting, but I think some people might be maybe confused by that. So sure. You're both setting the boundaries for the communication and what they can actually do, while at the same time building communication streams that are more open and give the consumer what they want at a push button moment's notice. So right. How do you balance that obvious conundrum?
Sure. I think it's what you determine is what is reasonable communication. Yeah. If it's something where you have an autoresponder on your email saying I'll answer your email within 48 hours, it's not going to fly. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the way this business is and the way what it demands from you is to be somewhat responsive. Okay, but it's a matter of figuring out when's the appropriate time to be responsive to that person. And everyone puts other priorities they have in their life or other important things above others. There's some where I always think if I was single, I'd be killing it right now in anything that I do, because what do I have to do all day? You know? I would just work and that'd be great, but I'd probably be miserable on the inside. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's just a balance, and it comes over time. And you have to be pretty clear and upfront about with whatever your other priorities are, that hey, this is sometimes going to take precedence. Other times, your marriage takes precedence over clients, and it's just a matter of feeling out what that person's willing to accept. Now, if they're the type that is going to call you 10 times, you can choose either to not have a relationship with that person, don't work with them, or you can know to just, hey, pick up the phone. I got it. I'm working on it. I'll call you back tomorrow. Yeah. And that's usually enough. So a lot of it too is just reading your client and figuring out how they want to be responded to. One thing that I would always do is I have an assistant that would basically be my other two brains working as one. Mm-hmm. So as part of building your systems and part of building your team is you got to be able to release that control over thinking that you have the answer for everything, that you should be the only one that they speak with, or on the opposite end, there's some agents that just say, I'm not going to talk to you any longer, which is also. So, I try to move the conversation to email as much as I can, because that way, we all three can talk together versus a phone call. But I think I think it's just figuring out, make sure you get that right person, showing them that this person's actually just as competent as I am, and they can answer a lot of your questions, and they can make sure things are happening. And again, that goes back to setting the expectations and introducing, hello, client, this is my assistant, this person, this is how we work. They will know absolutely everything. The reason why I can attend meetings with you is because she's there making sure that everyone else who I work with is getting tended to. However, if you ever need to call me, here's my cell number. You have it. We can talk anytime you want. Just give me an hour or two in case I'm in a meeting.
Right. Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah.
And it's pretty simple to set up that expectation.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for the tip. I think a lot of people are going to find this beneficial. Where can people find out more about you or about Next?
Sure. So yeah, to learn more about Next, we have free accounts set up that you can try out before you buy. I'm a big proponent of make sure you love it, make sure it works for your business before I ever expect to take any money from you. But it's an extremely affordable product built by a realtor. So it's not one of these just I'm going to push everything into a product. If you go to nextapp.com, and the spelling's kind of funny because I couldn't buy the normal sounding domain.
Right.
But it's NEKSTAPP. So Next App, NEKSTAPP.com. They can reach out to me there. If they just want to submit any sort of notification or email, they can go through one of the different contact methods we have, and then we'll reach out to them, or they can always find us on Facebook and LinkedIn.
There. Well, thanks for your tips, advice, Brent.
Sure.
It's nice talking with you, and great tips again. So go check out nextapp.com, and I will see you in the next episode.
Hey, appreciate you having me on. Thanks so much.
Bye now.